In December of 1975, a 24-year-old engineer at the Eastman Kodak company in Rochester, New York, walked into a conference room carrying a device he had built in his laboratory over the previous year. The device weighed 8 pounds. It was approximately the size of a toaster. It had no lens in conventional sense, no shutter mechanism, no film compartment, and no viewfinder. It used a blue filter from a Kodak Super 8 movie camera, a Motorola chip, and 16 nickel-cadmium batteries. It took 23 seconds to capture a single image and store that image not on film, but on a digital cassette tape. The image quality was poor by any standard, 100 lines of resolution, on a black and white frame. It was crude, it was heavy, it was slow, and it was the first digital camera in history. His name was Steve Sasson. He presented the device to his managers at Kodak and explained what it was and what it could become. Their response, as Sasson has described it in subsequent interviews, was a polite and firm instruction not to tell anyone about it. The official reasoning was that Kodak needed to understand the technology better before making any announcements. The real reasoning was that Kodak was, at that moment, generating approximately $2 billion per year from photographic film. Any technology that eliminated the need for film was an existential threat. And so the first digital camera in the history of the world was put in a box, labeled with a project number, and stored in Kodak's research archives. That decision, made in a conference room in Rochester, New York in late 1975, is arguably the single most consequential act of corporate self-sabotage in the history of American industry. Kodak did not simply fail to develop a technology. It invented the technology that would eventually destroy it, recognized what it was, and chose to suppress it. The company spent the next 37 years managing the consequences of that choice. It filed for bankruptcy in January of 2012. To understand why the people in that conference room made the decision they made, you need to understand what Kodak was in 1975. The Eastman Kodak Company had been founded in 1892 by George Eastman, a self-educated bank clerk from Waterville, New York, who had become obsessed with the chemical science of photography. Eastman's genius was not purely technical, it was commercial. He understood that photography in the 1880s was the exclusive province of professionals and serious enthusiasts because the equipment was heavy, the chemicals were dangerous, and the process was complicated. He set out to make photography something that ordinary people could do. His first major innovation was a roll film that replaced glass plate negatives. His second was the Kodak camera, a simple, portable box camera that came preloaded with film. You took 100 photographs, mailed the camera to Kodak, and received your prints back by post along with a reloaded camera. The advertising slogan was a masterpiece. You press the button, we do the rest. It democratized photography. It also built a business model of extraordinary financial power, because every photograph anyone took required a new roll of Kodak film, and every roll of film required Kodak's chemicals to develop it. The consumable product was the business. The camera was just the beginning of the relationship. By the mid-20th century, Kodak was one of the most powerful corporations in America. It controlled between 70 and 90% of the American film market at various points in its history. It employed over 60,000 people in Rochester, making it the economic engine of an entire city. The Eastman Kodak Company was, for most of the 20th century, synonymous with memory itself. When people said they wanted to capture a moment, they said they wanted to Kodak it. The brand had achieved the highest form of commercial success. It had become a verb. Steve Sasson joined Kodak's research laboratory in 1973, 2 years out of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. He was assigned to work on a project that sounds, in retrospect, like an obvious precursor to what he eventually built. He was asked to investigate whether charge-coupled devices, a new type of electronic sensor, could be used in cameras. CCDs had been invented at Bell Labs in 1969 and were beginning to find applications in astronomy and television. Nobody in the commercial photography industry had seriously investigated their use in consumer cameras. Sasson spent 2 years experimenting. By late 1975, he had built his prototype. It was, as he has said in every interview he's given since, a curiosity, a laboratory experiment, not a product. He knew it was not ready. He also knew it represented something that would eventually change everything. when he presented it to Kodak management. What he was asking was not for them to commercialize it immediately. He was asking them to begin preparing for a future that was going to arrive, whether they prepared for it or not. They said, "Do not tell anyone." And they meant it. The patent for Sasson's digital camera was filed in 1977 and granted in 1978. It was not publicized. When journalists or competitors asked about Kodak's research into digital technology over the following years, the company's public relations team routinely downplayed what it was doing. This was a deliberate strategy of concealment, and it worked for longer than anyone today might expect. The first commercially available digital camera was not made by Kodak. It was made by Sony in 1981, the Mavica, which stored images on a floppy disk. It was expensive, the image quality was limited, and it found its initial market in news photography rather than consumer use. Kodak watched this development carefully and continued to do very little. In 1986, Sasson and a colleague named Robert Hills built a 1-megapixel digital camera for internal research purposes. Management reviewed it. They acknowledged it was impressive. They did not pursue commercial development. The explanation that Kodak executives have offered over the years for these decisions is internally consistent. They were not foolish people. They understood that digital photography was coming. What they believed, and what their financial model supported, was that the transition would happen slowly enough that Kodak could continue to harvest a film business for decades while gradually shifting to digital. The film market was enormous, profitable, and deeply embedded in consumer behavior. Billions of people around the world used film cameras. The infrastructure for developing and printing photographs was global. The transition to digital would require consumers to buy new cameras, learn new workflows, and give up the physical print that many people consider the point of taking photographs at all. Kodak strategists believed this transition would take 30 to 50 years. On that timeline, the company had decades to adapt. They were wrong about the timeline by approximately 20 years. The precipitating event was not a single product launch, but a convergence of 3 technologies that happened simultaneously in the mid-1990s. Cheaper digital image sensors, faster personal computers capable of processing digital images, and the internet as a distribution channel for sharing photographs. When these 3 came together, the consumer photography market began shifting in ways that accelerated far beyond anything Kodak's models had predicted. By 1998, digital camera sales were growing at rates that suggested the transition would be complete within a decade. Kodak finally began investing seriously in digital products. It launched a line of digital cameras. It built the Kodak Picture CD, which allowed consumers to have their film photos digitized at the time of development. It created EasyShare, a digital camera platform with integrated photo management software. These were not bad products. In several categories, they were competitive or superior to what Sony, Canon, and Nikon were offering. The problem was not Kodak's ability to make digital cameras. The problem was that every digital camera Kodak may replace a film camera that had generated recurring revenue from film and development chemicals. The more successful Kodak's digital business became, the more it destroyed Kodak's profitability. The mathematics were brutal and irreversible. A consumer who used film took approximately 30 to 40 rolls of film per year, each generating several dollars in revenue for Kodak beyond the initial camera purchase. A consumer who used a digital camera generated no ongoing revenue for Kodak once the camera was purchased. Digital photography was not just a new product category. It was the elimination of Kodak's fundamental business model. By 2003, digital cameras were outselling film cameras in the United States. Kodak's revenues were falling. Its workforce, which had peaked at approximately 145,000 people, began a series of reductions that would continue for a decade. The company took on debt to fund restructuring. It sold assets. It attempted to pivot to commercial printing and professional services. Nothing worked at the scale needed to replace what had been lost. In January of 2012, Eastman Kodak Company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. The portfolio of digital photography patents it had built over decades, including the patents that derived from Sasson's original 1977 application, was auctioned off to a consortium of technology companies, including Apple, Google, and Microsoft for $525 million. The The patents Kodak had used to protect the technology it had suppressed were ultimately worth less than what it had paid its lawyers to file them. The company emerged from bankruptcy in 2013 as a much smaller commercial printing business. It employs approximately 4,000 people today, in a city whose economy was built around a company that once employed 145,000. Rochester has not recovered. Steve Sasson received the National Medal of Technology and Innovation from President Barack Obama in 2009, more than 30 years after building the device that started everything. He retired from Kodak in 2009, 3 years before the company went bankrupt. He has given many interviews about that day in December 1975, when he walked into the conference room with his 8-pound prototype. He has been consistently generous about the complexity of the situation. The managers who told him to stay quiet were not idiots. He has said they were trying to protect a business that supported tens of thousands of families. They made a rational decision based on the information and incentives in front of them. The problem was that rational decisions, made consistently over decades in defense of an existing business model, can produce an irrational outcome. Kodak did not go bankrupt because its people were incompetent. It went bankrupt because its people were very good at protecting something that was always going to be taken from them. And while they were protecting it, the thing that was going to take it away was sitting in a box in their own archives, labeled with a project number, waiting. Subscribe to The Reckoning. Every Tuesday, the true story behind the empires that rose and the decisions that ended them, the ones nobody talks about, the ones that were made in conference rooms and laboratories and board meetings where everyone was trying to do the right thing, and the right thing turned out to be exactly wrong. Subscribe, hit the bell,